Hello and welcome to Emerge on the Real, a live discussion that highlights the impact of our program through the perspectives of our students, our community partners, and our staff members. I'm Josephine Kohler, the Marketing and Social Media Coordinator here at Emerge, and I am your lucky host today. It is my honor to introduce our guest today, our first ever Emerge alumni on the Real. Dan Duong. Dan will share about his education journey and the impact Emerge has had on his academic and professional success. He will reflect on how his experiences shaped who he is and what he looks forward to in this next chapter of life. And of course, we will conclude today with a Q&A session for Dan. So please submit your questions in the chat below anytime during the discussion. Without further ado, welcome Dan.
Hey, Josephine, thank you so much for having me. I'm super happy to be here and just talk.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's get it started. Can you share with our audience a bit about your upbringing and how your early experiences influenced you at the very beginning?
Yes, of course. So my name is Dan Duong. I am Vietnamese and I was born and raised in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. I moved to America when I was 7 years old, so back in 2005. And I went to middle school, elementary school, middle school, and Bel Air High School class of 2016. And that was when I was introduced to Emerge. Then afterwards, University of Houston, class of 2020, go Cougs. I majored in management information system and minor in accounting. And currently I am a business consulting staff at EY. And I'm just super stoked to learn about the working world and excited to see what my future has.
How was that process for you and your family coming from Vietnam and then settling here?
Yeah, so when we moved to America, the biggest barrier, it is cliche, but it's true, and it is the language barrier. And for me, as a person, as a son, as the eldest son in the family, I had to be the translator. I was the middleman between bills, credit cards, bank accounts, insurance, you name it. I was the middleman, the translator, and that taught me grit. It let me build from, it was my foundation of independence and grit, and I'm super grateful for that. With that being said, giving back to my parents is my ultimate goal here. And so doing everything I am now, my future, my past is all for them.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you kind of have like an awesome journey from coming here and really with your grit that you share, becoming that family translator and then ultimately getting into U of H. So I would love to know how Emerge kind of played a role in clearly this academic success that has brought you thus far.
Yeah, of course. So Emerge, I was introduced to Emerge back in my junior year of high school in 2015. It was a brand new concept to me. It had a great name. It had a great ring to it, just emerging. And I was introduced to it by Noreen Ali, Miss Ali is what we call her. She was a great individual. I did not know what college was until Emerge. I knew, of course, the concept of college, but Emerge opened the doors and opportunities. It was the key to everything. I did not know about all the scholarships there were. I didn't know there were that many out of state colleges that I was qualified for because everyone would want to save their parents' money.
Mm.
And just learning about college, doing SAT preps to Emerge, they actually revised my personal statement 4 times. And
Mm.
University of Houston was actually super impressed with my personal statement. So they commented personally on the statement, and I was extremely grateful for it. Couldn't have done it without the edits. Then through Emerge, I got an interview for the Torch Scholarship in Northeastern University in Boston. And they, of course, did the interview prep to help me go through that. And ultimately, I decided to stay with the University of Houston since I got a full ride. But Emerge was the bubble, the overcompensating bubble to allow me to be exposed to college and further education.
That's awesome. And awesome that you got a full ride to just provide for your entire college career. I think another thing that I love about you and your story with Emerge is that you were a part of the mentor program with Emerge. And I would love to know a little more about that experience. How did Emerge help navigate like career opportunities and impact your professional journey?
Yes, so Emerge had a career day in my senior year or so, or junior, late junior year. And I remember I did not know anything about the professional world. I'm a first generation high school student, right? And going through everything, I was nervous, but I didn't know anything. I went into an office building in jeans and a polo, or maybe even a button up, and I was introduced to a team. And give it, 8 to 10 o'clock or so, an individual walked in, and I'm over here looking at him as a grand figure of an ultimate businessman model that I highly looked up to. Right, I'm over here watching my words and just making sure I'm good with what I say. And he was featured on Emerge on the Real, I think a month back or so, and I'm honored to be his first mentee. I'm sorry, and the point of connection there was during lunch and after lunch we went to Starbucks. He could see that I was looking up to him and just being super fake with my actions, and he told me, just look here, you and I were considered just peers rather than just you looking up to me. I'm this grand figure of business, just be yourself. And on that, we connected through social media. We talked about Instagram, Snapchats. I explained to him the social norms, breakdancing. And since then, he stuck with me through college and my professional career as well. And he gave me one good tip of make sure whatever you do in Bauer University of Houston, Bauer School of Business, minor in accounting, major in accounting, just have an accounting background. And that I did. In my diploma in the background there, you can see magna cum laude, MIS, and an accounting minor. So that is one really honorable tip that I got from him, and I stuck through it, and it ultimately helped me here with my job.
Well, I love that. And I believe your mentor has now joined the Instagram world. So you are doing a great thing by sharing the social media norms of today as well. And I love that you have your degree back there and you took his advice. So I think that's great to just hear, even in these like small ways, these little connections really allow for networking to happen, and not just for networking purposes, but for like meaningful relationships to continue. So I love that you guys have that relationship. Thank you for sharing that. I would ask, what advice would you give to our Emerge students that are currently in the high school program right now?
That's a good question. So for me personally, I have an interesting take on that because I personally I regret not putting as much effort as I wanted to in Emerge in high school and throughout college. So in high school, like I said, I was introduced to Emerge and all of the resources that were there laid out for me. I've only used, I would say, 40% of it. The rest are just out there. Looking back, I realize and I regret not taking advantage of that. But one tip for the high schoolers, take advantage of what you guys have. It's there. The resources are plenty. And going away from the resources, the connections are valuable. You never know that the person you meet, you never know how much of an impact they'll have on your college career, on your future job. And it's just be respectful and take advantage and seize the world, seize the day of whatever opportunity arises. And throughout college, I do remember that there was a cohort of alumni just going into college, supporting one another in the University of Houston bubble, the community of Emerge. And I regret not being part of that because I feel like it would have been a two-way street. I would have provided many resources as well as taken many lessons and insights from my peers. And if I could go back in time, I would be more active in the college Emerge community as well, because I know the transition from high school to college is very difficult and new to a lot of first generation students. Me myself, I had to learn my own, and it would be very useful if someone else had a good figure to back up to.
Hmm. I love that you are already thinking like a future mentor someday, hopefully. But yeah, and for those that might not know, we do have something called squads with Emerge that really helps incoming freshmen. So hopefully those things are now in place so that transitioning freshmen can have a place that they can call kind of their community during that time. Love the advice that you just were able to give. And I love that, once you get to a place where you're graduated and you're just kind of in this professional season, you have a chance to reflect and really be able to kind of see what could have been different, even though we have so many successes to celebrate you for. So I would love to know, like, you are now officially in the adulting stage, right? So you are a working professional. What has that been like for you?
Being an adult is weird. It's definitely new and challenging in their own ways. And the transition from my biggest transition was probably from high school to college, and then college to the working world. And I started online. I started virtual, and the experience was, of course, not what everyone wanted, but it's there. It's definitely, I'm definitely grateful for a job that I have now, and the support are very mesmerizing because they're in your same shoes. They know that starting online is not the right move. And the questions that I have for my seniors, the questions that I have for my team, they're not they're not asked in the way that I wanted to, not very personable, but I'm super glad that I still have this opportunity to be here and just to learn. Learning is a big thing for me, and it never dies. Throughout college, throughout high school, into the adult world, every day I learn something new, and I'm very grateful for that.
I'm curious. So, like, now that you are in the professional world today, if you could look back, what would be some aspects you've carried on through like the beginning? You came, you said early on in your story, like you guys came from Vietnam and you worked your way to provide for certain things throughout your education journey. And so now, as a professional, like, what skills would you say still resonate? Not because you got them now, but because of your journey till now.
Right. So being the immigrant of a big family, I was independent, and the is there. So through using those two skills I learned throughout college, throughout high school, I was a server at Kim Sun Restaurant where I financed most of my education along with the scholarships throughout college. Three things that I learned that I took throughout my entire career. It would be teamwork, communication skills, and customer service, which now I translate into client serving.
Mm.
And those three skills, I would always those would be my core. The three skills moving on forward, going back to the past, I would not change those three skills that I currently have as my backbone. And of course, they're very broad, they're very vague, but going into in depth, very useful, and I value them highly.
Mm. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. What else are some like things that are grateful in this new season that might be more personal? So I know that you've been able to have a full-time job, a full ride scholarship. With these things, how do you feel like that has helped within like the personal life and with your family and the things that you have been able to kind of achieve for them and what that looks like?
So having a job and graduated college debt free is a very accomplishing feeling. You feel like you've done it. I squashed that mentality of having to pay back my parents because albeit they watched me graduate online. They saw my name scroll up on the University of Houston list, and that was it, right? I didn't walk across the stage with my diploma in hand or any of the red robe, but we did take pictures. My family and I, we took pictures. My dad and mom stood by my side with my cap, and it was that feeling I would never forget because I seized it. I grabbed it. My heart fluttered. Everything was there. The doors are open. My parents said it to my face. They said, "We did this for you, and you did it for us." And I remember they said it in Vietnamese, right? But I translated it, and it was the best feeling and the best thing I've heard. And even talking about it today, like I have chills in my body. Um, but that is the feeling that I'm 22 years born for, right?
Yeah.
But after getting a job, I do help pay the bills. I live at home now because I don't think it's a good move to move out in COVID times. Um, I treated myself to a fun car. It's
Mm,
very
nice.
very cliche young guy thing, but got a nice car. I like I said, I help with the bills. Of course, every Sunday I treat my parents out to a nice meal, whatever you want. It would be a family day. So overall, life is good. Life is good. They got here, compared to 12 years ago, they would worry about what to what to eat, what bills to pay,
Mm.
what does this credit card thing mean that got sent in the mail. Compared to today, everything is taken care of, very streamlined and standardized. And if they have any questions, I'm still the middleman. I'm still the translator in the family. Don't get me wrong, but in a more mature self, in a more mature way. And with that, it just feels good. I
Yeah.
don't know how else to put it, but
Yeah.
I am successful. I am here, and I'm proud of that.
Hmm. I am so happy for you. And yay, treat yourself with a nice car. You definitely deserve that too. I think you kind of touched upon it, but right, like this whole past year was so unexpected with the pandemic and all the social unrest and so much more. So I'm kind of curious what you're most grateful for in this season. Like what's that silver lining been for you? Because it has been such a difficult time.
Right. With the unrest, with starting online, everything like that, I was just grateful for a job. Graduating with a job is very big nowadays because I do know that unfortunately my peers they graduate and people aren't hiring because of COVID and all that. And starting online is hard. So one thing I'm grateful is my job. And speaking of my job, EY does a very good job with the inclusiveness and recognizing the ongoing activities in the current generation, in the current world, the social world and social
Mhm.
life. They recognize that. They send out emails and newsletter just recognizing it and encourage the team, the Houston team, the American team, the worldwide. They encourage us to be resilient, to be brave, just stand up, and inclusiveness is their theme here. So I'm grateful that my company does that. And along with that, my peers, my family, my friends, my loved ones, the strangers that I encounter, I'm just grateful that they are fair,
Mhm.
that they are not on any of the spectrums that we're talking about here, any of the social spectrums. They are just fair and respectful.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I haven't encountered any of the hatred. My family are safe. And speaking, I'll use an example of this, the Asian hate on the rise. I'm grateful that my family has been safe. I'm safe. We do our own thing, be respectful, treat others how we want to be treated. And I'm just happy. I'm just happy that we are doing our part. But of course, what we can do is just be respectful, be fair, and give out the positive energy that we would want back.
Yes. And I love that you shared that even within your work, you're able to be surrounded by people who continue to give you that environment that's needed in this time. So definitely something to kind of think about when you do apply for places or apply for schools, like where will those safe spaces be for you? I'm lucky to have that as at Emerge as well, like, soft plug, but continuing forward, I would love to know if you would be willing to share any difficulties that might have been, pretty prevalent during the pandemic.
Right. My last semester online was pretty difficult. I took intermediate to accounting. That wasn't the easiest class, but pushed through online. Of course, had to do some extra studying since it was mostly PowerPoints. Online lectures are there, but we know how online lectures are. It's just you just hear a voice and a screen that's sometimes laggy due to the internet. And so finishing school online was definitely difficult. And then transitioning to starting my work online, I intern in person. I intern at EY in
Mhm.
person. And of course, the experience is there every day. You see your team, you have a nice conference room, client facing, you learn a lot more than you do online. And I got to travel during my internship. So that limitation of, I guess, connection and socialness of the working space is very, I guess, draining on your mind and on your work. But of course, I look at it the positive way. I'm just grateful for a job. Like I said, the
Yeah.
difficult part is definitely there. Just asking questions. If I have any questions to ask my senior, I would have to ping him,
Yeah.
on and try to see if he's free. Try to understand that his time is valuable as well. So it's not the same as if it's in person. I would just, hey, what's up? Can you help me do this real quick? And I would show you my computer screen. Right now, I have to screen share, and so a call would take 30 minutes to answer two quick questions.
Mhm.
One of my biggest challenge.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to transition in person soon or kind of experience that hybrid model. So glad that you endured it this far and that you have such a positive mindset, even amidst the struggles that are there. I want to remind people in the audience that there is a chat button with some Q&A questions. If you want to ask some, I'm going to open it up and ask from one of our attendees. What advice would you give to your younger self when it comes to exploring and selecting a college? I guess
That's
now
actually
as a professional, yeah.
that's actually a good question. Like I mentioned earlier, I did not know anything about college. In my head, it was University of Texas in Austin. University of Houston, and a wild choice of Northeastern out of state, Boston. And I didn't highly consider Northeastern until I got that tourist scholarship. I flew up there, interviewed, did my own thing, and unfortunately, of course, I didn't get I made it to the finalist, but I didn't get that scholarship. So I was left with two choices of University of Texas at Austin and University of Houston. I chose University of Houston because of the full ride, and I just wanted to be home with my parents. But to answer that question, advice to my younger self when it comes to exploring and selecting college: be open. You don't know what's out there unless you actually research and try. I didn't know about Brandeis University, Wesleyan University, Yale University, Connecticut College, any of that until I went on my senior trip with Emerge. They had a great senior trip. They flew us out there and we had a great trip with the Northeast College. It was just amazing. I didn't know any of that until I actually looked and to actually tried and put in the effort. And I want to signify one thing as well: is scholarships. It's out
Mhm.
there. There's a lot of scholarships out there that anyone can get. I was fortunate enough to get four scholarships. That's how I got the full ride. It wasn't one big full ride scholarship. I applied. I've written many essays. I've done my fair share, and it was tiring. It was draining. Coffee shops every day, but it was worth it. It was well worth it. And so that's so two things I would want to advise on would be more open, know the colleges, know that there are colleges out there,
Yeah.
and after the selection or even during the selection of college, look into the scholarships, look at what you're eligible for, and the worst thing you can get is a no. The worst thing you can get is a no. It's the same result as not applying, because regardless, you either get it or you don't, right? And so it's the same result as not applying and applying and getting rejected.
Yeah.
Same thing. So that I realized that like after years of
Yeah.
learning and experiencing. So that's actually a good question.
Absolutely. And I didn't know that. I thought you just got a full ride scholarship the last time
Right.
we had talked, but this is really awesome just to share like a testament of your own character and hearing the grit that you talked about before and how you made sure you financed it, right? And so that you can provide for your family in other ways and get that car now. Speaking of the car, the next question, which is just as important, is from one of our audience members: how fast does your car go from 0 to 60 miles per hour?
So I do drive a 2021 Toyota Supra. It's one of the new ones, and it goes 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. Full pedal, full
Oh,
throttle, per
wow.
person. But yeah, that's
I don't
pretty
really know
fast.
what that. I'm assuming that's really good, right?
Yes, in 4 seconds, you're glued in the back of your seat and you just fly, basically.
Oh, okay. Okay, we have a hand raised. So we will try to do this where we allow to talk. Okay, so I'm going to allow to talk feature for our hand raised in the audience. Mr. Oh, would you like to ask your question?
Sorry, I just realized I had accidentally clicked it. I didn't even know my hand was raised.
That's okay. Do you have any questions that you might want to ask?
Not at the moment, but I'll let you guys know.
Okay, thank
Sounds
you.
good.
All right. Well, I'll give any last chance for any questions that might be asked or even some affirmations in the chat. I really enjoyed listening to your story, Dan. I feel like you just have so much growth. And like even through all the transitions that you shared, all I see really is that grit and the connections and the ways that you've taken advantage of those opportunities. And I love that you were able to share that on here. Is there anything else you would maybe want to share with the audience live or later over YouTube that maybe you would want to kind of share as part of your story? I wanted to give you that floor one more time.
Before I do that, I do want to address one more question that just got
Yes,
brought
I
up.
just saw that.
Yeah, it was, what is your favorite or memorable Emerge experience? And I would have to do two experiences. It would be number one would be that Northeast Coast universities that we visit. Opened my eyes. Like I said, didn't know about Wesleyan, didn't know about private and public colleges, anything like that. I didn't know I was qualified for a full ride in Northeastern. I figured that out on the trip as well. And going on that trip, connecting with very similar group of people, I value that a lot because we share so many things and so many memories and so many experiences together that I look back on, and I wish I, got their Instagram or number to just connect on now, but those are good memories for sure. That one big summer trip, and the second one was definitely the career day. I'm over here freaking out over this figure when he's just treating me as a friend, and I value that till today. We're just buddies. We're buddy, and we text on basis, and it's nothing official like that. And I want to signify that as well, because just be yourself. Being yourself is the best way to handle things. Of course, in a social setting, you have to be yourself to a certain extent, right? You can't just let loose. But yeah, that connection on the career day, I will always remember that Emerge experience because hey, got me my job.
It yes, it did. So that's great and noteworthy for sure. Just want to shout out the connection. We love to see it. We love all of our mentors, but huge shout out to Abdullah in the audience for just being there for Dan. And I love hearing y'all's story, and I'm really excited to see how you guys can even partner as future mentors in the coming years to come. I have a question actually. I know it's the end, but in case anyone would be interested, do you have what are some of your like professional goals after like the first years within EY if you wanted to share kind of that vision?
Yeah, of course. So professional goals. I have a short term goal of passing my certification. I'm taking the CISA, it's a Certified Informational Auditor, or sorry, Certified Information System Auditor certification, and that will allow me to reach manager at my firm. Um, After that, I would like to have a another source of income. That is my personal goal. So maybe real estate or a business of my own, but 2-1 kind of thing with corporate and my side thing. That would be the goal.
Hmm.
And retire. I don't want to retire early like a lot of people. I like working, but definitely retire my parents early. I don't know if that's professional, but to be professional enough to let them sit in Vietnam in their lounge chairs and do their thing while I work. So
Yes, I love the pay it forward mindset. Okay, thank you for answering my last question. Any last words from you, Dan, before we close up?
no, I just want to thank you, Josephine and Merges, to have me today. I'm happy to share. Of course, I am an open book. And for the audience, if you guys want to connect me on LinkedIn, just first and last name. And I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the transition from high school to college, college to being a professional. Talk about more about my cars if you guys would like. But like I said, I have my fair shares, all the resources I've used, the mentorship from Abdullah, and all the things I've learned in college. The knowledge is here, and I can't hold that knowledge in my head forever because I that's just not me. I would like to give back. So any questions, any concerns, or just curiosity, feel free to ask me, reach out because I do want to just share and give, and I promise it is worth your time and it'll be worth mine. So don't feel like a bother.
Thank you so much. Well, okay, that wraps it up for us on our sixth episode of Emerge on the Real with our Emerge alumni, Dan Duong. So, Dan, on behalf of the entire Emerge Village, I would just like cannot thank you enough for sharing your story on the Real. And for me personally, it's been so refreshing to see, kind of the whole Emerge student journey come like full circle. And it's really encouraging to know how this model, how the Emerge model in its own ways, like really helped play a part in your amazing success. So best of luck to you as you continue to grow in your career and in your adulting life. And hopefully, see you on the mentor program someday.
Of course, yeah, no, we'll see where that takes us. And thank you so much, Josephine and Emerge, for reaching out. I am super grateful to just share and tell you guys my story, and hopefully, yeah, be a mentor and give back one day.
And we just want to thank the audience for tuning in. I hope you guys were really blessed by being able to hear Dan's story, and just hope you guys have a great day as well. We will make sure we link Dan's LinkedIn when we put this up on the reel on our website. So please make sure to contact him, connect with him. I think he loves that. So would definitely love to see these connections happening. Thank you so much for attending.
Of course, thank you guys.